Andrew Hafer. I'm the President and CEO of the Tioga County Chamber of Commerce, and I also work a little bit with art and put some things together in my spare time, and I think it's fun. My like for doing so came, I grew up in a family that had a lot of different antiques. We always had old things around the house, things that are unusual, things that are a little different. And I grew up in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. So coming up here and meeting Chris Knickerbocker, and Chris and I kind of have the same vision, the same look at the materials we work with. Also, again, just curious, a few little oddities. So I still, I would say that I have a number of different collections of things that I like. For example, we had bottle openers. I kept those for a while. A lot of people have the tobacco tins. This was my grandfather's in 1935 from Mountain Union High School in Pennsylvania. But I like the stuff. I like the old patina. I like to see the old look. The foot lockers are great. Things like this was an actual, that's what you would get as a mask in like the mid 1940s to go trick or treating. I think it's a lot scarier than the ones we have now, actually. But there's just little things that are, not necessarily a lot of people would display or like, or even some things that seem a little creepy, like the dolls here. So after a while, I would say probably maybe a year or two ago, I helped Chris move some stuff into her studio, and she said, so we started kind of picking my basement after a while. So she said, hey, would you be interested in doing this with me? I said, absolutely. We'll see what we can do. But again, there was just things that's an old, I think it's World War I, it's a military helmet, obviously it's German. That somehow has been in our house for a long, long time, or my family's house anyway. And just curious things that like I see, and I think a lot of people see too, that I got into some fossils here recently so in walking down the road or the side of the road or wherever I'm at, I'm looking down a lot because I'm looking for fossils, which I'll do probably here until I get bored of it. But then, so here's actually a couple things that I put together. I had a couple of skulls, a couple of bones, they probably came in a box of junk that I had that I brought up from Gettysburg, and I pulled them out and they seemed a little funny, so I mounted them. I can't say that what animal they came from, but I kind of think the look is funky right there. This is a light. This light kind of just happened where the bottom section was an old bucket that my son and I used and made an aluminum forge out of it. So it's weighted at the bottom, and then when that we moved to something bigger, we just put that aside. But it just so happens that one night I started looking at some of the material we had, including that bucket, and I said, you know what, that would be a great base. I had a metal funnel set in there. This is a 10 stake, and this was a watering bucket. And I thought, well, that looks kind of cool as a light. So there we go. I put that, and I kind of enjoyed that. I like the idea that we're done with the bucket. The funnel was old. This was a 10 stake of a tent that I no longer even have, and the bucket had some issues. So for the watering bucket had some issues there. So now it's repurposed and reused. Along with a couple things that I got in the habit. I got into here maybe a year or two ago, where I worked in my workshop in the basement, watching TV or whatnot, and then I started getting some paints on. I thought, well, that'd be kind of funky to start throwing some colors on just objects that you wouldn't normally necessarily see them on. And I got a little crazy. I actually have a big, cabinet at home, metal cabinet, did the whole thing. So and that was just, again, giving it a different look I liked. And, obviously with John JFK right there, I think that's pretty cool. So I enjoy that. This is a wonderful piece, and I'm sure she'll have an opportunity to tell you about it. I think it's fantastic. I just think it's so well put together, and the pieces that she used to put together is really, there's a depth and very interesting. I did a little thing up here. This was I bought a box of old stamps, and one day I started thinking about, oh, there's, they're not all the same color, but I like to do like an American flag, something like that. So I got them out, and then I had an old canvas-backed map that was actually from France during the Second World War. I was kind of cut up and worked at different places, but I thought that would be a kind of cool backing, which that's what I used right there for that. Next thing was a coconut that I had forever. It was like, why would you keep that? But we put teeth in it a while ago, mouth, kind of made a nose, and then I had some wire down in my workshop and some old safety glasses that I threw on there. Again, just something a little funky, something different, which again, I don't think it takes a lot of, there's no special skill to that other than seeing and creating what you want to see, I guess. And that includes our Turtle Man, how that looks again. These are just things that were found, and I like the old box. It really kind of gives it, that's kind of a little, that's spookier to me than the other one over there, even though it doesn't have the teeth on it like the other one, but there's history there. This box was probably an old cigar box at one point, and the person buying it way back whenever probably never knew it was going to be hanging on the walls out at the Tioga County Art Scouts in Owego, New York. So I think I just got one or two other things I'll show you.
Sure.
This was a project that I worked on a few years ago. I found I had a chain link fence buried in the woods behind my house. Pulled it out. I had some metal pieces, so aluminum. So I brought it in, and then I thought, wow, I'm going to cut the bottom off of this container, or the top off of a container. I probably had like wood or some sort of stripping liquid in there. So I started just kind of throwing some pieces at it, and it really came together like I liked it. And even when I did everything in there was found. So it's nothing I didn't buy anything. I didn't, other than maybe some adhesive there, but it kind of progressed where I had it, I worked on it, I was like, I don't like that, stepped away from it, put something different on it, and eventually that came out of it, which I think is it's kind of cool, but my wife won't let me put it in,
Talking to her.
it won't be, no.
I'll leave something for Chris.
So this is the project that, again, everything I'm showing you in here, I never expected to really show anybody other than it was born in my basement. This is the whale. The base comes from an old Italian lamb that I really liked. I thought had some value to it. And probably 3 years ago, I had it on the shelf and I bumped it and it smashed. So keeping the pieces and the base, I thought maybe sometime that'll find a use for it. So when this whale came about, I was making a little chair for my son, and that was somewhat of a template that I used for the arms. And then I started looking at it differently, and I thought it'd be kind of cool to make a whale out of that. Threw some colors on. This is a cap from a shotgun shell, and just threw some wiring around it. 2 different color eyes. So I kind of dig that a little bit. But again, I never knew it would get out of my basement. So real quick, when we talk about history and the things and that's really kind of what I enjoy as well. I enjoy looking at some of these old things, repurposing it, and again looking back, saying, this is 100 years old. When it was first made and put out there, and it was put into somebody's home or whatever, did they ever expect it would end up in here? But this actually, Bell, this was from a boxing ring in boxing gym in York, Pennsylvania. My father went to York College, but he also worked out this boxing gym. And before they were actually tearing the building down, and the trainer at the time knew my dad knew pretty well. He knew he liked the bell, and he said, "Here, I want you to have this." So we grew up with this in our house, and it's I don't know. It still works, but having that in the house the whole time, so I often told him, I said, here probably the last couple of years, I said, Dad, you just come to my house, not my sister's, but my house. So, in doing so, I asked him a little bit again about the history for that. And he tells me the trainer's name in New York was a fellow by the name of Basil Biggs. B-A-S-I-L and B-I-G-G-S. So I was like, that's kind of, something kind of resonated there. Well, there was at the end of the Battle of Gettysburg, there was a freed slave by the name of Basil Biggs that was a veterinarian, but he was also hired by the U.S. government to come in, dig up the shallow graves. A lot of soldiers were put them in coffins and give them proper burial, which was, you know, pretty amazing and obviously pretty gruesome work. But I come to find out, so his son, the father in Gettysburg, moved to York, Pennsylvania, and had a son named Basil, and that's kind of the little neat connection to history right there, which I enjoyed. I think most of this, what you know, is most of this is Chris's stuff, but you know, honestly, I can look through here and say I got some of that stuff in my basement. And that just happened to be I threw that together. That was a little box I made with old license plates. It's kind of fun, so you know, you throw trinkets in there. But again, it's one of those things I don't necessarily consider myself like an artist. I just see things that should go together, or I feel that these should go together, and I enjoy doing that. So, and I appreciate Christina and the Arts Council for allowing me to come in, and certainly Chris Knickerbocker, for she's kind of like my mentor for this. So, thank you.